Hello guys, welcome back to the FIRL channel, your wormhole from TradFi to DeFi. Now, this video we are going to talk about Thorchain, or the ticker is RUNE, RUNE. Basically, it's been on a tear, right? It went from 3 to 9 in a very short space of time. So what we're going to talk about today is why is it pumping and, is it sustainable? As usual, nothing of what we say in this video should be taken as financial advice. If you actually need financial advice, please speak to a pro. A disclaimer, we like to always give this kind of disclaimers. We do own RUNE tokens, so yeah. Okay, Brad. So, another disclaimer is that Brad does most of the owning of RUNE shares between the both of us. And I used to own RUNE.
Yes.
I talked about it with our team. I think this was in January or February 2021.
It was pre-$1.
I think it passed that amount already. So I think I bought it. I think it doubled that I sold it. I like the vision, but I've not kept up with it since. So maybe as a starter, as a primer, right? What does RUNE exactly solve? How is it different from some of the other tokens like Luna and Phantom or whatever?
All right. I think to best illustrate what RUNE or Thorchain does, right? I'm going to just briefly explain what's the main problem that we actually face in crypto these days. But one of the main problems is that there's no really convenient way to own multiple different assets. And by assets, I mean your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Cardano, XRP, and all the coins that you can list are thousands of them, right? The easiest and most convenient way to own them is through a centralized exchange. And you can consider Binance as one, Huobi as the other one, KuCoin, maybe even Luno as one, right? Though Luno only has 5 tokens, but I digress. So buying all these tokens through a centralized exchange, right, is convenient, but the problem has always been that you don't truly own those tokens. So me owning a Bitcoin through Binance, for example, a very recent example is, say if I own Bitcoin on my Binance exchange or Binance wallet, right? And I actually agree with the trucker movement protest that was in Canada. And I donated some Bitcoin to support that cause. And what happened was Canada actually banned some of these wallets that belong to people that donated to those protests. So it's not truly yours. And with this problem, right, comes about DEXs, which is decentralized exchanges. So examples of them could be SushiSwap, Uniswap, or even the one that we use, Astropod. Whereas you can really swap tokens. Let's say you can swap your Bitcoin. No, this example, maybe you can swap your Luna for USD without any central party holding onto your assets. But the problem again with that is that it is damn freaking complicated.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I'm sure you've experienced it before. We were trying to figure out how we can bridge our assets from Luna to Ethereum, and we don't even know how to.
Yeah, that's actually quite crazy.
It's probably freaking expensive.
From Ethereum to Luna, we can kind of get it, but Luna, Ethereum, that does not go through a centralized exchange like Huobi,
correct,
or whatnot.
So a lot of what we do, we still kind of send it back to Huobi or KuCoin or whatever, right? And then again, some people are trying to fix this by providing bridges. And the problem with bridges, if you haven't already known, there's a shit ton of hacks that actually happen.
Yep.
A lot of them are through exploitations in bridges because it's really not that secure. Then comes Thorchain. What Thorchain
And by the way,
aims to solve,
bridges are expensive as well, some of them.
Correct.
Some of the pathways. Yeah. All right, continue.
Then comes Thorchain with its token RUNE. What Thorchain's aim to solve is that you input your Ethereum, and then you can instantly swap an original Ethereum, which is truly yours, it's not owned by a centralized exchange, to own Bitcoin, which is again truly yours. Because if you don't own your private keys, it's not yours. That's what the problem with centralized exchanges are. So it makes for a lot of potential, especially if you are somewhat of a DeFi degen. But we talk a little bit about what we think about decentralization and self-custody later.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, to summarize before we move on, is right now to swap any tokens, unless it's within the chain. So for example, if you are in the Luna or the Terra chain, unless it's inside there, it's going to be hard, right? So like if you want to swap Luna with any of the native coins in Terra in the Terra ecosystem. Maybe it's UST, maybe it's Astropod, maybe it's Anchor. It's very easy.
It is. Yes.
But the minute we go out of that, let's say a USDT, let's say an Ethereum, then it becomes very complicated, and Rune wants to essentially make that cheaper,
exactly,
safer and faster.
Yes, it's almost instant. That's what Rune aims to do. Yep.
Right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the pump, right? It went from, when I first saw it was 1 something, went all the way until 22, right, I believe?
Which
22.
is when I bought some.
Okay, I didn't know you want to dox your portfolio, but okay.
Sadness.
So yeah, anyway, so it went from 22, then it went to 3, which is like a nearly 90% drop, right?
Yes, I experienced
and
that.
then from 3, it went to 9, and then now it's about 8 as of this recording.
Yep.
So it's been quite exciting, but my question is this sustainable, right? Or is this just a pump and dump, essentially?
Okay, it's a good question. Shout out to Frank and Butterfly, some weird names, but this is what people call themselves in crypto. They have been really helpful in helping me find information for this. Essentially, right, there's always a meme in the Rune community, the Thorchain community, is that the price of Rune is always going to be 3 times the market cap of crypto.
Right.
Because whenever you want to put money into Rune, put Bitcoin into Rune to supply to people who want to do trades, right? You need to pair, let's say if there's 1 Bitcoin in the pool, I'll explain a little bit about pool later, but you want to put 1 Bitcoin in the pool, you need to have the same amount in terms of Rune, in terms of value. So say Bitcoin is 10,000, Rune is 1,000. You need 1 Bitcoin in the pool, you need 10 Runes to make sure that the pool is balanced.
Sorry, the value needs to be the
Correct.
same.
The value needs to be the same. Yes.
Right.
So every time someone wants to put up Bitcoin in Thorchain, right, to allow for people to actually trade, there's going to be the equal amount in terms of value of Rune. So
just to trade only,
just
right?
to trade only. So let's say Bitcoin's market cap right now is about $1 trillion. It's not going to happen for sure, but imagine if 50% of that, which is 500 billion worth of Bitcoin, is going to be put up on Thorchain. That's going to mean that there's going to be 500 billion worth of Rune on the opposite end to kind of balance out the pool. And it doesn't end there, because the meme is for every market cap, every single dollar of market cap of crypto, it's 3 times in terms of Rune value. Because in order to secure this whole Thorchain network, right, there needs to be double the amount of the non-native asset. In this instance, it's Bitcoin. So if, let's say again, there's 500 billion worth of Bitcoin, a validator node, which is the person behind the scenes running the hardware and all that, right, they need to put up $1 billion worth of Rune. $1 trillion, sorry, $1 trillion worth of Rune, which is double the 500 billion, to make sure that the network's secure. So the 500 billion worth of Bitcoin that exists on the Thorchain network to allow for swapping and exchanging and buying and selling, right, there needs to be 1.5 trillion worth of Rune. So whether or not, the answer to the question whether or not this is a pump and dump, I think that there's a lot of potential when it comes to Thorchain and what it's trying to do. Whether or not it's going to dump, it's yet to be seen.
Who knows, right?
Yeah. So
because
that's the reason why.
The thesis was the same in 2021.
Exactly.
But it's still dumped 90%, right?
Well, I suppose one thing to add just before we end this segment, right? The important thing to note that when it was $21, it has way lesser total value locked than what it is right now. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's about close to 100 million. Right now, it has about 320 million of total value locked.
Also, when the price dump, then the TVL goes up.
Because the TVL never really left Thorchain per se. Maybe it dipped a bit after some of the hacks that actually happened on Thorchain. We should talk about later. But the community is strong in that people are keeping on to deposit money in and to add into the TVL as well. Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about risk next.
Right.
Okay, so we end the video with really discussing, the potential. Maybe we talk a little bit more about the ratios and the potential and how dominant Rune can be. And then the second part will be definitely where maybe some of the chinks in the armor or big holes, who knows, in the armor of the Rune thesis. So yeah, what do you think the potential is and the risk?
I think one main risk right now is that we mentioned having 1 non-native asset equaling to 3 Rune, right? So right now, the market cap of Rune is about 4 billion because it has 500 million total supply. It's not going to go beyond that. And the price is about $8. So 500 times 8 is about 4 billion, 500 million times 8.
Yeah.
The value that's locked into Thorchain right now is about 320 million. So even if you multiply that by 3, it's probably only $1 billion. So Rune's market cap has already front-run its potential so far. So buying into Rune right now is essentially buying into its future potential because a lot of value that is supposed to suck in hasn't come in yet.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to buy into RUNE, which of course what we say is never financial advice, you're buying into potential future that is going to suck in more and more and more non-native assets to lock into its protocol. Other than that, and I'm pretty sure you know what's the main reason why it actually dropped from 20 to 3 last year, right? Well, one was May crash, where everything actually crashed, but it only crashed to about, if not mistaken, about $9 or $8. And it actually crashed further to $3 after an exploit, after a hack. And I think during the hack, right, the hacker actually, I think, sent a note and said that this is a lesson for you to not move things too fast, Thorchain. And he just took away, I think, about, I can't remember what the exact number is. We'll put it in a screenshot here later.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely one risk I can see. The second risk is that for them to achieve their potential, they need to be very dominant, right? Like you gave the example of 500 billion to be in. I don't think that's very likely in crypto because, as we were discussing, off camera, one, the guys at Thorchain and the guys supporting are fans of decentralization, and crypto is a very decentralized place.
Yeah, you have your thoughts on decentralization. Let's hear that.
Wait. Yes, I do. But if the decentralization takes place, which I mean, that's what crypto is, then you won't see monopoly-like situation. And unfortunately, this is probably something a lot of crypto investors need to come to terms with, in my point of view, is that actually you want it to be dominant, right? Luna holders want USD to be the dominant stablecoin. And that's really, in a way, anti-decentralized, in that there's only one.
One player in the whole
same with
competition.
Same with RUNE, right? And if you're a RUNE holder, honestly, decentralization in this case needs to take a backseat because I think you need to want the token to be a monopoly or at least a big, has a huge market share, right?
Yeah.
You want a situation where a third of all Bitcoin transactions come from RUNE.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why buy the token, right? So that runs a bit contrary, I think, like the financial and the more, let's call it, philosophical interests of decentralization. I think the second thing is also, look, people are quite fine with centralized exchanges.
Yeah.
So they don't mind swapping there. It's familiar. Someone like Binance is actually kind of like, they're one leg in DeFi, one leg in CeFi, right? CDFi. And that puts them in a position where they can accept the general palette of an investor, right?
Yeah.
They don't need to cater to the extremes of both only CeFi or only DeFi. So I think there are challenges for sure. But yeah, any closing thoughts?
I think as you mentioned, right, the challenges do exist, but as with any crypto that we're buying out there, even with Bitcoin as well, right, it's buying into a potential future that we can, right now, where we are at, cannot actually foresee. But I think with Thorchain, one of the biggest challenges is going to be regulation. It's probably a very cliched answer, but if your main goal is to be an end-to-end, native-to-native, decentralized exchange, which is going to eat into market shares of what Binance does or what KuCoin does or Huobi does, which governments can easily regulate, right? I think they're probably going to be facing a lot of headwind when it comes to regulators and governments and whatnot. So I wish for its success because, as I mentioned, I own a relatively significant bag of it at a very high price, by the way. But I know that it's going to be a long journey ahead, and people in the community, through Twitter, through Discord and all that. By the way, that Discord channel is pretty informative. There's a ton of stuff you can learn from it. They are looking to hold this for the next 3 to 5 years. Everyone says 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years. That's when crypto is going to go from $1 trillion market cap to 10 trillion, 50 trillion. So it's a big bet, as with anything in crypto right now. So I think that's something you got to be bracing yourself for if you want to look into Thorchain /RUNE. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, turn on the notification bell. And if you want to keep the conversation going, we have a very lively Telegram group called the FIRL Degens, and we'll leave the link to it in the description or the comment section down below.